I think it was when I started moving away from my familiar surroundings that I started coming closer to myself. Again, another contrast, but it's real. It's very true that when you distance yourself from the things that conditioned you, you start unconditioning or differently conditioning. And I think it didn't matter why I moved away, be it for a project, a wedding, a vacation, holiday, travel, job, whatever. As long as I was like exploring different situations, as exploring something that I was not familiar with, something I could not prepare myself for, that I was able to sort of shed the layers that I had built around myself and then expose myself to different ideas. And in fact, just yesterday, I was meeting somebody. I was having my meal at a cafe, and then this person walks up, and then we ended up talking for like 4 or 5 hours, and then we met like three times in the same day. Now, it's funny how you meet the same people over and over again in small places, or at least in the same areas in case you end up living in the same area. It was funny, but the kind of conversations that we had were like amazing. They were so mind opening, Their story, my story, and then exchange of ideas, exchange of perspectives, and a very healthy conversation. It was never an argument, even though we did not agree to like all parts of it. It was not an argument, and this was like maybe 7, 8 years ago. This would have turned into an argument because I was a very different person. But now it's like I think I've learned mm, how to accept different perspectives without getting offended, even if it could have been a trigger once upon a time. It is not anymore. And I think that has also to do with the kind of work that I do now. It has a lot to do with that as well because I have to keep an open mind. And no, I don't force myself to do that anymore. It just comes naturally to me now. But again, like any other skill, this also had to develop, like this kind of a mindset, this kind of not getting triggered attitude had to be developed like a skill. Like I had to work on it every day, every conversation, every next person that I met. Because when you start traveling the world, you meet all kinds of people, you're exposed to all kinds of ideas and different cultures, different languages, different ways of socializing, different expectations. It doesn't always come naturally to you. It can sometimes become offending or awkward, but then because you know that you're in a different environment, you tend to just accept instead of imposing. I also see some people who are like, who travel, they would carry their own culture, not in a positive sense, but more like an imposing sense. So when you are exploring, it's not that you become a different person altogether, of course not. You are who you are and where you come from, your roots. But that does not mean that everywhere you go, you start preaching about how we are better than you. How do you find a conversation? A conversation is when two people are talking and two people are listening. It's not when one is just preaching and the other one has no say in it. Like, it doesn't work like that. So, anyway, coming back, I think just tensing myself and having all these experiences in life have somehow helped me to shed those layers that I had built up for so long and become the person that I am now. And I think I highly underestimated myself back then. I had no idea that I had so much potential, that I was a good person, that I was social enough, that I could hold a conversation all by myself, that I could handle situations on my own, that I did not need a GPS all the time to navigate myself. and that I was somebody who could be left alone into the world to find her own path. I had no idea about any of that. In fact, I was so conscious and insecure in so many different aspects, starting from my looks to my thoughts to my the way I express my emotions to everything, like everything. I thought I was just not good enough in any aspect. But the more I traveled, the more I saw the world, and just living away from where I used to live, just living on my own, I now know for a fact that I am a pretty decent person, that I have so many strengths. And how do I know this? Because people tell me this. And not as pleasantries, but as genuine compliments that mean a lot. And ending the conversation saying something like, let's meet again. Now, you wouldn't say that to somebody that you did not enjoy spending time with and actually show up. It's not like you just say something nice like, okay, let's do this again, and then keep making excuses for not showing up, but actually really show up. Now, would you? So, yeah, in case you're also somebody who's trying to find themselves and trying to shed all these layers, this conditioning that has happened, and longs to find their true self, I would highly, highly, highly recommend going away from your current surroundings as frequently as you can and for as long as you can. As an experienced person, I would say that having short term travel and having long term travel have totally different impacts on you. If you're a beginner, start with the short term. But if you have done a few short terms, I would say go long term. But do not take your friends, siblings, neighbors, pets, and whatnot with you. Like, just go as you are, just go who you are, you yourself, and your backpack or suitcase, whichever works for you. And I promise you that you're going to come back a different version. You totally are. There's no exception to this. Until tomorrow.